Greetings, Padawans, and welcome to the Archives. Here to unlock this holocron is the man of the hour, Jedi Master, SoTeeko.
Welcome back, everybody, to episode 14 of the Archives podcast. To my right, we have It's Mary J on twitch.tv. To my left, we have Van Seal on YouTube and twitch.tv and Grindr. And in the middle, my name is SoTeeko. You can follow me everywhere. And of course, the Archives podcast at Star Wars TAP. This is the Archives podcast, and we're having a good time today breaking down the prequel trilogy. Now, early doors, I think we literally just came up with this concept for the pod because we were talking about it in Van Seal's stream. And I was like, hey, that'd be cool to deep dive the prequels. We did a deep dive for the sequels. We did individual episodes for each of the originals. And here we are for the prequel trilogy. So how it's going to work is one of us is going to cover one video, and we're going to be running that discussion. And each of us has been assigned a movie. But before we do that, to kind of clear the air to kick off the stream, we're going to do some 60-second debates.
Change.
Now,
you gotta stop watching my guy?
I will. Now, what you're going to be tasked to do here is you have 60 seconds to debate, and we're going to be going in a rotation, a round-robin tournament. So to kick off, it is going to be Van Seal versus MJ. And then it'll be me against Van Seal, and then me against MJ. So nice and easy. You have to give the participants a random topic, and then they have 60 seconds to debate their stance. We're also going to flip a coin to see who goes first. And perfect.
All right. Call it 3, 2, 1.
Heads.
It is indeed heads.
Do you want to go first or second, Van Seal?
Wait. What does that mean? Go first or second? Does that mean I'm giving the topic or I'm debating?
I'm giving the topic.
Okay. I'll take my stance. You can give me the topic.
All right.
Yeah.
This is perfect. I'll give you guys like 30 seconds to come up with your talking points for it, and then we're gonna get ready to rumble. So,
all right.
Your guys' topic is the public transportation. Now, MJ, I want you to be pro public transportation, and Van Seal, you're going to be anti.
I mean, I could start it off right off the jump. Coming from someone with no car, public transportation is hella nice.
You gotta keep going, man. You gotta build up your case. You gotta go. 60 seconds.
Style. I'm from New York. You know, we walk blocks in seconds. You know, or we could take a bus. It doesn't matter if they smell. We just hold our breath. You know, it doesn't matter. We gotta get to point A to point B. That money's at the end of that tunnel.
True.
Do you yield your time, sir?
You got 30 seconds.
MJ.
Dude, I mean, there's like, you can save money not spending it on cars. Just use your feet. You know, you're born with 2 feet. You could just keep moving, keep it like grooving, or you could make a makeshift skateboard somehow out of wood out of your backyard, and you just find some wheels. You know, keep it grooving. You know. I don't know how
3,
much time I got.
2, 1, and Van Seal, let's get your counter argument in 3, 2, 1, go.
So I'm gonna hit all three main points that MJ just talked about. So the first one, he's gonna talk about public transportation, how it helps people. Public transportation is outdated. It's outdated. He was talking about going from point A to point B. That's stupid. That means you can go back and forth from one place to another. That's ridiculous. You need to go all over the place. You need to have the freedom of transportation yourself. Point A, point B, not enough. He's talking about smells? Dude, why the hell would I want to smell people? And on top of that, they're making TikToks on trains and all that stuff. No. We're not dealing with that. I want to be in my nice car that's self-driving, that, Electric. I mean, hello, you can't get cheaper than that at this point. The other thing we want to talk about. What was the other point? God,
15 seconds.
What was the other point you made? There's another point you made I wanted to hit on. Gosh, MJ, you hit me with something that what was your third point, MJ?
5 seconds.
Anyways, just don't vote for public transportation. It's stupid. Just stop being poor. Get a Tesla.
Okay.
This is great because it's all one-sided, you know. I didn't know if I could interrupt and like, oh man, it's just one-sided debates, and he's like, "You still got like 48 seconds." I'm like, oh man.
I mean, you guys gotta let us know in the comments who won that 60-second debate. If good arguments.
I remember the third talk. Dang it, it's not important. Sorry.
Good arguments on both sides. I gotta be honest. Like, MJ's was more sentimental, where yours was more arithmetic. If that can work there. Yours was more to the point, about the point, you know. So really good arguments. Me against Van Seal now. MJ, what are we debating?
Work ethic.
Okay.
Your daily work ethic.
Okay.
Wait, can you be a little more specific on the topic? Like, what do you mean? Like, was my headset working?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's working. I'm just thinking.
Are we arguing like hard work over efficiency?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay.
Well, you know what? Can I make a suggestion? That way,
Yes.
we can have a little bit more of a base. How about we argue? And this is a current topic. Like, how about we argue about the replacement of humans with robots or computers?
Deal. Do you want to be for or against?
Actually, yeah,
Either.
that's a good topic.
All right.
Sorry, my child.
Flip a coin. Flip a coin, MJ.
Heads or am I calling it?
I'll call it tails.
It is heads. I'm sorry.
All right. So do you want to be pro AI or anti AI, Van Seal?
I'll be pro.
You'll be pro.
I'll be pro.
Okay.
I like this one.
All right.
All right. I don't need any time. I'm ready.
You can go
just let me
first.
know
You can
when
go
we're
first.
Let me go. Let me
In
know.
3,
Yeah.
2, 1, go.
All right, so here's why we got to replace all you stupid ass humans that are working at these minimum wage jobs. First of all, we don't have to pay robots. We're tired of paying you. We're going to pay robots. Second of all, you're working in the kitchen. Guess what? You burn your hand. The robot doesn't burn his hand. It's a robot. Doesn't get hurt. Doesn't have feelings. You tell the robot he's sucking at his job. He's not going to bitch and complain. Guess what? Robots don't need vacation days. They'll never show up to late work. All they take is AA batteries. You know how many AA batteries you can fit in one drawer? A lot of AA batteries. So on top of that, they're more efficient. They're going to be going 24 hours, and that's going to motivate you to get a better job. Stop working at these restaurant jobs. We don't need people anymore. It's all about robots. That is the future. Go ahead and watch Terminator 2. You'll be inspired and motivated.
And he hit all the nails accurately.
How much time we got left?
You have 5 seconds.
I yield my time.
All right. Well, I'll begin here in 3, 2, 1, go. So, I disagree. I think that we need to keep humans because not only is it part of like the natural pecking order, not only do you need minimum wage jobs available to the mass public because classes are real. Classes are real. They're subjugated and they're compressed very tightly. It's hard to get out of a class into a new class without phenomenon happening to you. And part of that is because of the structure of these jobs. All bringing in robots to take these minimum wage jobs is going to do is project 50%, 80% of our lower class into more poverty because they're not going to rise above because statistically it just doesn't happen. And AI is always going to be a little bit too dangerous to maintain. Even mechanically, it's going to be too dangerous to maintain as an infrastructure, and that's my time.
Terminator 3, Skynet.
So let us know who won that debate. Next up is MJ versus Tico. So, Van Seal, what are we debating?
Ooh. Ooh. I'm gonna go with a less serious one. Let's see. What are we gonna do? I think we're gonna. I'm trying to think of a Star Wars one. That way we can keep it segue into Star Wars. Let's see. What's a good debate in Star Wars? Damn, that's like I know all like the real world like heavy topics. I'm trying to come up with a fun one right now. I think. Okay. Well, no, that's not. That's good. Never mind. That's not a debate. Hey, we're just gonna go Galaxy Heroes. Okay, we're gonna do a stupid easy one. Okay.
That works.
We're gonna do why you don't need, and MJ knows where I'm going with this, GAC Omis to be successful.
Oh, easy. Can I go first?
Well, we gotta flip a coin to see who's gonna pick pro or who's gonna be the AF and who's gonna be the neg.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
So
I'll call it in the air, I guess.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, you do that.
I'll go with Tails.
I currently have a little Jawa baby in.
Okay.
Okay.
Van Seal's got us.
All right, I'm flipping the cap of my camera because I currently don't know where my quarter's at.
I got Tails.
All right, Tails ready. Here we go. See what you got. And it is cannon side up. It's heads. So,
all right.
MJ,
Right.
would you like to be the affirmative or the negative? You want to be for or against?
Oh, he's definitely for GAC Omis.
Why you don't? No, the argument was why you don't need GAC Omis.
Yeah, so he's against.
Well, I'm against. Yeah.
You'll be against. Okay, so that means Tico's gonna go first because in debates the person that's pro always goes first.
Easy, please set me up, man. Set me up. Put the ball on the tee for me. I'm walking up like Shohei Ohtani.
Oh, so you don't know what team you're going to be on, is what you're saying.
Exactly. All right.
All right, let me get my stopwatch.
Appreciate it.
Let me know if you need a time, or are you ready to go?
Fucking rumble, baby. I'm fucking ready to go. I'm
60
ready.
seconds, right?
Yeah.
60? All right, ready, set, go.
Because for the life of me, they don't make sense half the time. I'm new to this game, bro. I don't understand it, but I do get, they help. They help win. Here's the issue with that. Theoretically, we're winning half the time, right? What's one Omicron gonna do when in relation, and if you throw it into a territory wars, you throw it on Juhani, it's going to help the whole club. You're helping the club. I think they're selfish. I think they're egotistical. I think beyond characters like Starkiller, who really beef up with it, I think they're just a waste. You're not selling me on a Chief Chirpa, all right? You're not selling me, MJ. It's not going to happen.
10 seconds.
To conclude, I believe that they are selfish. I believe they don't really help in assisting towards win percentage, and I think there's better usage out of it.
That's some good points. MJ, you need time or are you ready?
I'm ready to fire whenever that gun goes off.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
So it's interesting that all of those opinions just happen to be false. Listen, here in GAC, where you earn crystals when you win, it matters in kind of that aspect. So when you need, let's say, that Qui-Gon, that get-out-of-jail-free card to go ahead and just have Anakin nuke a whole team without question because you need it to happen, it gets the job done. Now, GAC and TW are two different game modes. The topic is GAC here. Now, it is so much fun when teams win or even hold because of said Omicrons. Like, let's talk about Ben. You cannot fight with Sith Eternal Emperor against Rey with Ben. It's just not a thing. I would like to see you. Anyways, we're back on track. GAC Omis is where the crystals are. You get the crystals to help TW. You help your guild. It's not egotistical. You think of yourself to help your guild. It's one
10
for
seconds.
all for one. Boom, done.
I'm taking his last 4 seconds because I'm requesting an overtime here. Give me 30 seconds.
All right, I got it.
All right, 30 second rebuttal. Go.
Listen, man. Listen. How do you feel when you win a shitty round of GAC because, ooh, you used an Omicron? You're sitting there just clicking. How do you feel when you win in territory wars because you got a huge hold? Maybe you bled 4 attacks. Maybe they couldn't get past it in the first place. You go fucking crazy. Not only you go crazy, 49 other people go crazy for you. The crowd goes wild. No one cares about Grand Arena Omicrons, man. No one cares about Grand Arena Omicrons. They're sexy, but there's nothing there.
Buddy, he roasted me. Slow.
They are girlfriend material. They are not wifey material. Facts. Come on now.
Right. Nice. Good points. Good rebuttal.
I'm not hating on the Qui-Gon Omicron though, and that's a good way to segue into Qui-Gon Jinn and the Phantom Menace. Let us know who won that debate if you're into the Squiggo. If you're not into the Squiggo, let us know who looked more impassioned about it. You know what I'm saying? So, today we're going to be diving into the prequel trilogy, which I believe is it's got to be my generation's first trilogy of Star Wars. I know Van Seal saw the OT before. Lucky Duck.
In the 90s when they re-released it. I'm not that old, but yeah.
Van Seal's 45, right? He looks great.
He looks good, bro.
Yeah. Hence the hat, you know. In which you can find that hat at SoTeekomerch.com. Anyways, today we're talking about the prequels, and in my estimations, they're probably the most hated on. Like, genuinely hated on. Not the fake hate that the sequels get. Sequels get hate because, like, we don't fuck with them.
They suck.
The Last Jedi freaking sucks, man. But
visually, it's great. Story-wise, it's dog water. Like, I am a man enough to admit, like, the background from my screen right now is-
that is disrespectful towards dog water.
Man. Listen, it's visually
sorry,
great.
it's dog shit.
Cinematic.
Yeah,
But
and I was thinking about that though, man.
Like
Sure.
a camera scene with no words, it's great.
So
Add words and it's just
If I want a screensaver, I'm putting on The Last Jedi. If I'm trying to watch a movie, I watch episodes 1 through 7 and 9 because I watched episode 9. It was fun. It was good, man. It was good. 7 good. 9 good.
7 is good.
Everything. It's
9.
like it's like the bridge in between is made out of Q-tips.
9. Well, that's the thing. It's like you can have a good starting point, but like 9 is just like I can't watch 9 because I know where it goes and I don't like where it goes.
Same.
Like I'm invested in the characters, but I don't like the way they all end up. I don't like where everyone's like end is in the movie.
Okay, so episode 7 is when you're getting to the club with your friends. You know, you're having a great time. The vibe is good. Music is good. Lights are nice. Lights are great. Lights is fantastic. The light show, my God, buck wild. And that parlays into episode 8. You know, the lights are still great, but then the music's great, but the people, they're just not great.
Right. They're the same people that take public transportation.
And then there's drama going on in the friend group because someone said something that didn't even equate. And then you get to episode 9 and you're chilling in a pizza place with half the friend group because the other half got pissed and stormed out. That is the sequel trilogy. And the issue is people hate on it, but it's not organic hate like the sequel or the prequel, sorry. The sequel trilogy got hated on in an unorganic way compared to the prequels. The prequels were they get hated on to this day, but there's more of a rotation of love coming towards them with the additives of Kenobi, with the additives of the Clone Wars. But forever and a day, I remember before 2015, if someone said, "Oh, are you a Star Wars fan?" you said no, because of how much Star Wars got hated on.
I do have a point. So you said like, so I'm gonna chime in there and say
Your mic's
You're cutting
kind of
in and out,
out.
MJ. You're cutting in and out.
Silly goose. Oh, it's the fan, huh?
Yeah.
All right, hold on, test.
You're good. You're good. You're good.
So when the point where you were talking about additives, I feel the love quote marks are forced love for the prequels. You know, the sequels came out and people turned back to the most recent trilogy, that
True.
being the prequels, and they compared the two and were like, this is just better. Just, I guess, naturally saying that, just even though like some people like the mass hate that the prequels got was like the dialogue. I don't like sand and, you know, Misa, Duncan, and all that 9 yards. I feel like it's forced love personally, but everybody's different. You know what I mean? Like you feel like the additives from Kenobi and such were what gave the prequels some love, and which I'm not saying that it's not. You know what I mean? Like we got to saw Qui-Gon again. Hell yeah, dude! Like,
But the thing with the prequels though is like even before Episode 3 came out, we had so much content for the prequels in terms of video games.
Yeah.
We had the original Clone Wars movie by the Samurai Jack people.
Yeah. The first
George
Battlefront.
The first Battlefront, like we had so much like because I never hated the prequels. I was like, dude, the prequels are amazing, and then we have all this extra stuff to like dive deeper into it.
So
we had
much
a whole
extra.
we had a Jango Fett game for crying out loud.
Yeah.
This is all. I mean, we had Episode 3, which is also really good, and like all these things happened within like a couple of years. You look at where the sequels are at. You're talking about 2015. I hate to say this, but 2 years from now is going to be the 10th anniversary for The Force Awakens, and look how much content we've gotten for the sequel trilogy. It's like, I feel like if Disney really believed in their sequel trilogy, they would have doubled down and released like other content, because I mean, we don't even have that much Star Wars content to begin with, other than the stuff on Disney Plus or Galaxy of Heroes, and that's kind of it. We get like one game every couple of years, but I mean, like, there's no sequel trilogy content that we've gotten. Like, that's just
5 things off of my fingers that's Resistance First Order related with content in the games that we've gotten. Maybe 6, adding one extra finger. Starting with.
No, I'm not talking about like we have characters in a game. I'm talking about like it's only the sequels. Like we had a Clone Wars game on the GameCube back in the day. We had a Clone Wars show. I mean, yes, we got Resistance, like the Star Wars Resistance anime show, but it was
Resistance.
It's bad. That's it. Yeah, they don't have a game that's just like, we're gonna focus on the sequel era. They don't have anything in that area, and I feel like it's because they even know that they failed. Like if you just look at the numbers, how much money they made, they know that it just wasn't that great.
I feel like they didn't develop a strong enough backstory. Like we know like the base people, you know what I mean, like the First Order and the Resistance, but I feel like they didn't dive too much in, like George Lucas did. Like in his imagination, everybody had a backstory and some. But I feel like with Disney and the Resistance and First Order, it's just, oh, it's these guys. Yeah, it's just these guys.
Bro, imagine what it was like in 1977. You come out of that movie theater and you're like, holy shit.
What are these visuals? Laser swords.
Even story-wise, bro, like I wish my dad was still alive so I can ask him what he was thinking, because he went and saw it on his Sweet 16. He saw Star Wars. It came out literally on his birthday. So I'm curious,
awesome.
Especially even after the first 3 movies, because I don't think the first book came out for 5 years after the last movie. And of course you had like the Christmas special, the old school shows like Ewoks.
There's even a couple of movies too. I think there's a couple of Ewok movies, but yeah.
I'm just curious, right? Like, they had to have been driven by fan fictions, which I think is what made the prequels kind of come back to life, so to speak, in the past 5 to 10 years, is just the amount of, it really, I mean, YouTube in general and its evolution towards content like that, where you're starting to make fan fictions and you talk about things with your friends like, oh, what if this happened? What if that happened? And I think that is what truly brought back the prequels, and what kind of made the sequels so tantalizing, because this was the first time that our generation was like actually active in discourse about Star Wars while it's being released, and you can get that emotional conversation going with somebody that you can just dive into it, become super comfortable, and just create narratives.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
Because as kids, you're just like, oh, he's sick. He has a sick lightsaber. But as adults, like, you're diving into the art. You're diving into the spectrum of it. And you're not just picking out a color. You're picking out shades. And that's why I think Star Wars is so beautiful, is because all three of us have different opinions on the same characters, you know? We all hold people separate. We all hold them as our favorites, our least favorites, what movies we like, what shows we hate. I think that's really cool, and it's one of those art forms that can actually grab you by the horns and pull you in a certain direction where it's pulling someone else a complete opposite direction. There's not a lot of art forms that are like that, and it's cool that we can have this active discourse about it because we don't share opinions. And I think when you share opinions on art, you're really taking away from not only the experience of enjoying it, but you're taking away from the art itself because you're taxing it on its ability to create. So I think it's cool.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it's definitely something we'll never see again for sure. I don't think anything can repeat Star Wars or even copy Star Wars. It's so like, it's just its own thing.
Mm-hmm. So as the sequels are coming out, say like episode 5, episode 7, it comes out in 2015. That's 10 years after the last episode, right? Which is Revenge of the Sith. And you have to just think, Revenge of the Sith probably carried Star Wars up until Clone Wars came out. So
yes, yeah, it definitely did a lot of the heavy lifting, but and then Clone Wars came out, then you have more context, and it's like now everyone thinks episode 1's the best, now people think episode 2's the best, and it's just like, it's just because we have so much more information. And I think George, like, I feel like as an audience member, I feel like we're just too stupid for George's like greatness. Like, we didn't understand how amazing these movies actually are because we needed to get spoon-fed 7 seasons of an animated show. You know, it's like, in order to understand and appreciate how amazing it actually is, it's like, oh. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, we'll never have another George Lucas, and you know, I mean,
no, we can only try.
As much Dave Filoni can try to learn and, you know, learn from him and try to replicate it, but I think even he knows he should not try to be George, because
you can't be. Everybody's different. Their
you can't fill his shoes.
Right. Yeah, but yeah, no, episode 3 definitely carried before we got Clone Wars and before we got you know, Rebels. Even that's the other crazy part too. Like, even some of the Star Wars mediums that don't take place directly in Clone Wars add to Clone Wars. It's like, it's crazy. It's just crazy how much love and like treatment the prequels got.
Revenge of the Sith starts off with such a banger, you know, the music, the space battle, it's just great.
So MJ, what do you think just about the brilliance of George and an understudy like Dave? Obviously we can't fill his shoes, but just in terms of imaginations and things, do you think anyone will ever just come around and make something that trumps everything that we've ever, because something can come out and have the literal potential to be the best medium of Star Wars ever, because in my estimations, Andor came out and was everything I've ever wanted in a Star Wars project. And
really?
You can say, I think it's the best. I think Andor is the best additive to the canon that there's ever been.
What's It's just it's a huge controversial topic for sure. Meaning, like, this could go on for an hour if we let it, right? The one thing I just want to get off my chest is the last everything projects from Disney have all been controversial, right? I mean, I want to say probably the same with George Lucas as well, right? Like, there's always one person that you just will not please. You know what I mean? It's just the way of life. But when it comes with Disney and their stuff, it seems like it's mostly controversial.
That's fair.
It is enjoyment. Like, you would get like 30% enjoyment, and then like 70% is just controversial. You don't see the magic in it anymore. So like I said, this can go on for so long. Like, for me, and this is what you also said prior, like, all three of us have different opinions. So taking Andor as the prime example on the pedestal, I enjoyed Andor for its dialogue, not for its cinematics or for its... I mean, okay, yeah, I did enjoy it for its cinematics. It's still Star Wars, but for the dialogue and the action I despised. The cinematics and the dialogue I thoroughly enjoyed.
Super fair. Super fair. And maybe to me, it's different than a Clone Wars, right? Clone Wars, as the prequels lifter unit, so to say, I think that Clone Wars was a brilliance in it of itself, because every episode, it wasn't just an episode of a TV show. Every episode was someone inking something new into canon. Some new character, some new planet, some new conflict, some new battle.
To add to that, I really like the overall concept to the Clone Wars. So if you watch like early interviews of like, I think it was like 2006, 2007 is when they first started doing it. Like, George's vision for the Clone Wars was he wants to give his audience the quality of a Star Wars movie, but he wants to compress it in like a 20-30 minute episode, like a Saturday morning cartoon episode. And it's like, that's, first of all, that's really hard to do. Second of all, like, the fact that they were able to do it is just like insane. Like, just like it's real, like, because like the quality, like, I don't want to say like there's certain shows are better than others, but just like I feel like the budget and investment they put in the show without knowing how big or successful it's going to be, I think was like pretty ambitious.
I got one thing to say. I mean, so the statement, there will never be another George Lucas is both, I think, correct and incorrect, right? And here's my like factors about it. Like, George is George, you know what I mean? He's the one who developed and imagined Star Wars and this whole universe with its backstory. And I'm going to use Lord of the Rings as another example. J.R.R. Tolkien took Lord of the Rings in his brain and his imagination and created this whole backstory. So, I mean, if we were going to say for a person of that talent to be on the staff of Star Wars, would you, like, people are putting, for example, Filoni. People are saying, like, that person's that person. That person's Filoni. But I mean, he created Ahsoka. Cool. That's one person. I don't know if he created more. I think he made Chopper and the Rebels, but I don't know.
It's all a team at the same time too. Like, how many dudes are rocking up to Lucasfilm with a sick idea for a character, you know? But I'm sure he was tasked like.
Who made Dirge?
Who's that?
I think Van Seal knows.
You know who Dirge is?
Who's Dirge?
No, seriously, Tico, you don't know who Dirge is?
Wait till you hear this.
Who's Dirge? Do I gotta look this up?
Yeah.
How do you not know who Dirge is, bro? I thought you knew as much as you know.
D-U-R-G-E.
D-U-R-G-E.
Star Wars. Yep, it says it right there. Boom.
Dude is like, basically like if you got Venom, Predator, Mandalorian Bounty Hunter, and rolled it all up into one, that's kind of him.
The Legend of Dirge.
No, dude, he's crazy. He almost killed Kenobi.
And Anakin.
And Annie, yeah, dude. Like, it's crazy.
They couldn't kill him.
Never heard of a Dirge.
The only way Anakin killed him was by throwing him into a sun.
Yep. So I mean, the only statement I have to add is spoiler warning. I mean, it's not a spoiler. It was
canon
announced in
now.
the trailer. There is a species person, someone part of his species in the new Star Wars Jedi Survivor game, but he's not like Dirge. That's
Yeah,
all.
he's a bitch. He's a bitch.
Yeah, he's a
Okay.
fucking bitch.
Yeah,
Never heard of the
Dirge is-
guy.
Yeah, Dirge is that nightmare from an animated TV show, but because it's animated, he doesn't feel like a nightmare. But if you really think about it, it's a nightmare.
Dude, he's like,
He's
you
a
don't
He's
kill him.
scared.
he's a big
You don't-
lad.
You cannot kill him.
Yeah.
He is literally insane. Like
And
I
what's
think one of
he
my favorite. He's in the OG Clone Wars, like the ones from Samurai Jack.
Okay.
He's in the Doctor. He's in the War of the Bounty Hunters and Doctor Aphra comics, so he's canon now.
Mhm.
I think one of my favorite moments is when he I forget who he's fighting, but like he literally is like fighting somebody next to a volcano, and then he drowns them in the lava, like, and he's willing to burn off his own arms while he's drowning them.
That's
I'm
so
like-
crazy.
And then when he wins, all he does is he digs a hole in the ground, buries himself alive, so he can like rest and heal. And I'm just like, I gotta try that one of these days.
I mean, genius, bro.
See if it
Hides
works.
in a bush and heals.
I'm just mad that
Yeah,
his name is Dirge. Like,
I mean, I think it's a cool name.
he doesn't look like his name is Dirge. That's what I'm
Doesn't look like a
saying.
Dirge.
What does he look
Alright.
like? A Jim? Like or
No.
a Brian? Or like
He looks
Kevin?
Picture
He looks like
Kevin.
he looks like a Decepticon.
under the
low-key.
first picture, click the animated pic. Oh, it's not there anymore.
He looks like a
that.
Decepticon.
All right, so you see the 2D Clone Wars Dirge to your left?
Yeah,
but it's
No, not that one.
That one.
The one under.
that
one
one.
under.
This one.
That one. What would you name him if you were the creator? I want to know.
He looks like a Decepticon, bro.
I mean, he's not going to be named Decepticon.
He's got the same color palette as Megatron.
I
but
wouldn't
yes.
name him Dirge.
That's not a
like,
Dirge.
So what would you name him?
like,
Derek.
I'm sure
Derek.
through with the elementary school, but if you don't, I'll definitely let you know.
like
about the
Freelank or something. He looks like a Freelank.
Stone.
100% Freelank.
But his name is Dirge.
Yeah, his name is fucking
Moving on.
Dirge.
His name is Dirge. Moving on.
Great topic.
Beyond the point, though, I just think having the optimal creativity, the optimal love for the craft, I think you need to be passionate about something that you're working on. They keep hiring outside people. Where the cool thing about the George's trilogies, beyond the original, and mostly about the prequel, he used the same people. The same people were involved in all of them. He didn't need to go outside, and when he did, he went to
Crazy. What happens when you plan a trilogy?
yeah.
Crazy.
The furthest outside he went was to Steven Spielberg, who's worked with him forever.
And even then, that's not even outside. That's like his, like, not literal, but like his metaphorical next door neighbor. I mean, they did Indiana
Shit.
Jones.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
E.T., everything.
yeah.
Everything.
Although Kathleen Kennedy was also an ET, just saying. Just in case you guys didn't know that. She was
I think she's
involved.
good, just she's in the wrong role.
Nah, no, I don't think she should be anywhere near them roles.
Well, she has it. Like, she's got a track record, so obviously
She
there's
does, she
something
does.
there.
Just
But
because the
I
track
just think
record-
she's in
She's
the wrong
she's
role.
she's in her fuck it stage of her life right now, I think.
This is the record.
Yeah, but just think,
It's
like,
not online, no.
she was creative enough to put those projects out, work on the projects as they were,
Yeah.
and I think she's still that creative mind. Just, and I'm not
She's catering to the wrong audience is what she's doing. She's
exactly
pandering
like
and
she
catering to the wrong
doesn't
people.
know the side of business to where she can.
It's not even business, it's realism. So the thing with George and the difference between George and Kathleen is in all six of George's movies have a life lesson individually to each episode. The last three do the F not. I'm sorry.
they do.
They do not.
Yeah, they do.
don't.
Don't go to the movie theater anymore.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Save
That's exactly what I was thinking after I saw episode 9. I was like, you know what's funny? Not to mean,
I think they do.
But like,
I think they have a life lesson.
But like, I do this thing with my family where like I go when a Star Wars movie comes out, I see it like 3 or 4 times in theaters.
Yep.
Did it with episode 7. Did it with episode 8. Episode 9, I only saw in theaters once.
You said I did.
I was like, I saw that and I was like, good, I can check that box and I can move on with my life. But like, yeah, no, I don't know, man. They gotta figure stuff out before they start pumping out movies again.
Yeah, and I think that just comes with having the right people in the right places to curve that creativity. Yeah, and I think truly, my overall point was you need to have passionate people in charge of this stuff. You can't come from the outside and expect them to understand the magic of what's all going on here.
Agreed. And just because somebody is a great and talented director, like Robert Rodriguez, like I didn't know Robert Rodriguez directed one of my loved childhood movies, Spy Kids, but he did a Mando episode as well. And yeah, I mean that episode wasn't particularly my favorite. I'm just saying. You need somebody.
Which episode was Mando? Was it?
I think it was in season 2. I'll Google it right now.
I think it's hilarious though how we do pick and choose episodes of things and we pick them out and be like, ah, that part sucked. Is that us just picking out that part in the overall story that sucks, or is it the episode not going to the right cadence?
Probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, because the whole collective is the story. So if you're picking out, like, is that the exact same thing of saying, oh, my early 20s sucked?
Absolutely, because I think like especially nowadays, like, you know, these streaming shows that they have like a format now. Usually they're limited to like 8 episodes, sometimes 6 episodes, and if they're generous, like 10 episodes a season. So like, and they announced that, right? You know, before, if you look at like Clone Wars and other shows, like they would have like 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. They would have like a much longer season. Now they're giving you
there's a weird format.
Their format is we're going to feed you less. That way we can make more for later. You know what I mean? They're trying to keep it easy on the writers. That's why when you have a filler episode, I get pissed because I'm like, well, I'm wasting my time. Like I'm expecting if I'm expecting a 5-course meal, my appetizer better not be like something that's like microwavable. You know what I mean? Like something I can just do myself. Like that's easy. But I think with filler episodes or certain parts of an episode that sucks, I think nitpicking it is actually like fine. I think that's natural because like I want a good season. I want like, and I'm not going to get into the whole like writing isn't what it used to be, but I mean like sometimes we have these shows where there's the filler episodes. It's like you don't have to watch any of it. Like there's literally nothing that the value that adds to the story, the characters, or world building or anything. So I think when part of an episode sucks, I mean, you gotta call them out and let them know that it sucks because it's like at the end of the day, like with food product, there's taste testers that taste everything that we buy and eat, and it's like I feel like sometimes Disney is serving us stuff without taste testers. Like they're just giving us the content. And we're like, dude, this is awful. We give it back, and then it's still awful. It's like they're not getting it.
Truth.
I wanted to add that Robert Rodriguez, he directed chapter 14, episode 6 of season 2, and he gave us the Dark Troopers. And just learning that.
Okay, that one.
Yeah, I kind of like him for that, even though he's an outside person of the project. He wasn't no JJ Ryan, you know what I mean, with episode 8.
You said he did Spy Kids.
I enjoyed Spy Kids.
Which Spy Kids did he do?
I think he did all 3, but I don't know.
Okay. Dude, imagine if he replaced the Dark Troopers with thumbs.
My childhood.
I think they're actually doing another Spy Kids movie.
That'd be crazy.
I saw like a poster for something Spy Kids related. I'm not sure if it's a show or movie, but I saw that the other day. I was like, huh. And then I kind of just didn't pay attention to it.
Yeah, no, he did them all.
Nice.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
See, another thing. That's why I think the prequels were goated. They were done by the same cat, and I think that's what they should have done with
There
the
was a
sequels.
or not sequels, sorry, the OG, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
I mean, like the obvious point is like they all still like it's in nature like to have pros and cons. Like you can't be perfect. I'm sorry, you can't. Like
Yeah.
George busted out the original trilogy, and I guarantee you 50% of, or I don't know the actual math, but one person at least walked out of that theater on opening night and was like, this shit sucked. And then the
Mhm.
rest were like, this was awesome. And yeah.
And that person grew up alone and never had friends for the rest of their life.
And then the 40-year-old virgin movie was born.
I mean, you can't look more critically hated on besides the Phantom Menace, right? And the Phantom Menace was, in my estimations, like the most impactful movie that Star Wars made, apart from obviously A New Hope, since it was the first. And that's because it had A, so much to follow, so there was pressure upon it. B, it was the creation of a whole new time period in the galaxy. And C, you have the advancement of technology. How are you going to use that to your advantage? And how are you going to pull back from overdoing it? And
I mean, that's science fiction, you know?
yeah.
It's all storytelling.
It's very rare that you get things that are as strong as a Star Wars, and they're strong for a reason, because they last due to the overall quality of the story. So more than anything, of course it's the effects, but you look at the actors, no one knew these people before they were in the movies, really. And if they were, this is the biggest thing that they've ever done, and it's the best thing that they've ever done. Hayden Christensen was fairly freaking new. Ewan was seasoned, but this was a absolute stellar performance. Like, I don't think he's ever bought into a character more than he has. And then Liam Neeson is iconic as fuck for the character because he was the first Jedi since Luke Skywalker, you know, the fans have seen, and he was the main character of the first movie back from the originals. So it's a very, very iconic movie. There's a lot that goes in there.
There's a lot of people out there that prefer Qui-Gon to be their favorite character. I mean, I have mine. Qui-Gon's my second in Star Wars lore. Just the way that his wisdom reached out and like how much of like a parental figure he was without like actually trying to be. It really hit, you know? Just, it's Liam. He had a voice that was soothing and just like
a presence.
I hope you don't die. And what the fuck happens? He dies.
I won't say where I got Qui-Gon all time, but I will say it in my upcoming video, my top 10 Star Wars characters. Very excited for that one.
I feel like you can tell me if I'm wrong. I'm not gonna ask twice, 3 times, 4 times. Is he number 6?
Qui-Gon?
Yes.
Oh, he's probably top 5. Easy. Yeah. I like me some Qui-Gon Jinn, and I love that we're getting spoon-fed Qui-Gon content right now. We're getting spoon-fed multiple books. He's in Tales of the Jedi. He's in Kenobi. I want to go early doors Qui-Gon. I don't want to go Force Ghost Qui-Gon.
You want Padawan Qui?
Yeah, because I like the mysticism of his encounter.
Or he looks like Shaggy.
Yeah.
Jedi Dooku. Jedi Dooku and Tales of the Jedi was something else, dude.
Even Dooku, man. There's a whole ass show there waiting.
It really is. Like there's so many projects that they could hit on the nail that'd be right for me and what I want, right? So like what I want is like Tales of the Jedi, Padawan Qui-Gon, and Jedi Dooku. That being a show. I want Vader, not like so like the whole total runtime of Vader and his costume pre-Kenobi is 34 minutes in the whole original trilogy. 34 minutes of Vader.
Nerd.
Man, Dooku.
That's not enough, man. That like he has so much the Marvel comics of Vader literally told so much. It made Dr. Aphra a pivotal character. She's the one who made Padme look pregnant during her funeral so that the Empire / Inquisitors would not look for Anakin's said kids. You know, like the comics are pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie. Like I love comics more than I do books. But yeah.
Really quick, and then I'll come right over.
Do you know what I think they should start doing with this? I think they need to stop naming shows after the character.
I agree.
Because you look at A New Hope. It's not the Kenobi season 2.
It's literally a statement for the episode.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
It's literally that. Like A New Hope, Luke. A Revenge of the Sith, it's Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah,
Return of the Jedi, Luke.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like, oh, Luke, episode 6. It's not The Mandalorian, season 1. Of course, his name is Din, but everyone calls him Mando.
What?
Yeah, I know. Like I've always been like, why do they do that? Like he's literally surrounded by 30 Mandalorians, and they say, "Hey, Mando." He's the only one that turns around. It's just really like a racial slur, and like only having one person turn around.
He's like, huh? You say my name?
Oh my god.
Did you say my name? God.
I've never understood that. I was like,
The room full of Mandos. Hey, Mando. What?
It would have been comedy if the first time he's there and someone calls him that, like everyone just looks like, oh, Din.
That's so funny.
What'd you call me?
Yeah.
Hey, Mando. A room full of 30 Mandos is just one person.
So
What?
dumb, man. Yeah, I never got that part. I'm like, whatever.
Bro, I can't.
Someone's gonna listen to that clip and they're gonna in the next season be like, why the fuck did everyone call you Mando, not everyone else? Like,
New Age Star Wars, bro, is something else.
I'm
dude.
about
Like,
this life.
You know, the funniest part about it is too, is he's a foundling. He's not even Mandalorian.
No, he's a foundling.
So it's like, so he's not even. I don't even want to get into that show, man. It's just, we're not going that way. Like I said, I can make that show make no sense in about 5 seconds. Like,
Oh my god, you know that bird? Yeah, they always get away.
Next episode is a Mandalorian deep dive. All right.
Oh, no.
Let's go.
No.
But
Oh, man. Oh,
yes, I'm a thorough fan of trying to make characters out to be more than just a name. Not characters, but shows. Make shows about more than just being a name. Because man, it just you saddlebag it. What's it? The title, the book cover, it all matters. It all really matters because you're telling the dichotomy of the beginning of the story just with the name. So get rid of the Obi-Wans, get rid of the Ahsokas, and the Mandalorian. Freaking name, man.
I swear, next if they do Mando season 4 and it says the Mandalorian, I better see all of them on that cover.
Yeah.
All of them on the poster. Every single one of them.
Why not the Mandalorians? Literally just add a S to it, because then you can talk about Bo-Katan and it won't be weird. You know?
I gotta talk to you from the higher ups.
It's like Vikings.
It's too expensive. It's too expensive. That one letter is 80 G's. Get to it.
So MJ, episode 1, you got your points.
That's funny because I see its title. Go.
No, MJ's doing Phantom Menace.
All right, the Phantom Menace. The political allegory.
No. I'm doing the Phantom
No,
Menace. Van Seal will be holding down the Attack of the Clones.
My bad. I didn't mean to. No, I wasn't trying to punk you. I literally just brain farted. Yeah, no, you're doing episode 3. That's right, MJ. That's right. My bad.
And Revenge of the
Sorry,
Sith.
that Mando
ran
comment
by
just like
MJ.
it flipped my brain. I was just like, oh.
So here we go. So part of the Phantom Menace that I found intriguing was the overall world building. You got to see things that you couldn't see in the originals, and those include a plethora of politics, because I think you get two mentions of the Imperial Senate. One of them Leia is a member of, and two is Tarkin abolishing it. That's it. That's as far as the Senate really goes. With the Phantom Menace, you get to see the ins and outs of what it was like pre-Empire. It's a different government, you know? So people are acting different.
I think I need to re-see the scenes that you're talking about. So, like, the only ones that are really, like, entering my brain are, you know, when Captain Panaka is talking to the dude that looks like Jesus. Not Jesus, but, like, Thor or something. He's bald. And he, like, the negotiations were cut short. Like, I felt like episode 2 and 3 were more political than episode 1 was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. This just set the stage for those politics.
Yeah,
it kind of
like
told the story of what it is.
Yeah, like, especially with the scene with Sheev talking to little Pre-Annie. You know what I mean? Like, I see your future. I fucking destined it all.
Yeah, you get to see the Trade Federation conflict. What's going on at the time in the universe with the democracy of the Senate, and it's nice to get those early doors notions, because it is a very contrasting government than a impractical dictatorship. You know what I mean?
By MJ. But yes, yeah, no, I agree.
It just tells the story. It tells the story quite nice, and that's what I loved. I loved how they pitted the Trade Federation instantly as the bad guys. You know, they were housing the blockade, they were holding down Naboo, and instantly, what do you do in the first 5 minutes of Star Wars? You meet your enemy, you meet your main characters, you understand the plot of the movie, why they're there, and what they're doing. And that literally happens before you even whip out a lightsaber. You add in all that action that happens, you meet more characters, you meet new worlds, new places. It's just so much for the lore. It tells the entirety of the story.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's pretty much ground zero for a lot of things.
And it's not, yeah, for sure, including the Jedi Council, and at this point, you know that the Jedi fail, so you can start to pick out those flaws instantly. Flaws such as, like, skewed beliefs and the way that they pigeonholed each other, and the quote-unquote commitment to the order. This, you get to see how they feel about attachment, how they feel about family, taking kids away from their parents so early. Like, everything that the Jedi did inevitably was a reason why they failed, because they grew a very strong sense of power and that want for the power, but they were kind of lost in their own philosophies, that they saw their actions as moral and okay when they directly go against what they actually wanted. And a example of that is when Jedi would ever have a internal conflict or an internal discussion or discourse going on, they would never put out how they really felt about it. They put out how the order would more appreciate upholding certain standards, especially with Anakin Skywalker, which was so fucking weird. And the weirdest part of this movie is when here comes this Jedi who's been in the temple for 50, 60 years, and he's telling you, through my studies, everything I've ever looked on, everything I've ever looked into, everything tells me that this kid right here is the chosen one. He's going to fulfill the prophecy. We need to train him, adopt him into the Jedi. They look at that guy that's put 55, 60 years into being a Jedi, and they say, you're wrong. We're not doing it. We don't believe you. So inevitably, the Jedi Council treated Qui-Gon like shit because they didn't believe in him. And that's a shitty place to be, for sure.
I mean, to talk about Qui-Gon, I feel like Qui-Gon reached a point in his brain where he was wanting to reach out more, and the Jedi Council wanted to be restricted. And that it was the same thing with Dooku. Dooku wanted to reach out more in the terms of Jedi. So I don't know if this is a point in the podcast, but I'm gonna start tiptoeing on it now. The Jedi were not the police as interpreted in the prequels. You know what I mean? In the prequels, they were presented as the police, with no state, just Jedi of whatever, Coruscant. They're just a Jedi. The name is just the base. It's Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to like episode 6 with Luke and stuff like that, that's when you're more so reaching. Or even like with Ahsoka in this more recent episodes, like they are the peacekeepers. They are basically the police, but without a state. You know what I mean? The movies that we got, they represented them as basically the police of X planet. You know?
And the way that they adopted that was brilliant for the world building. Because prior, you just didn't have that understanding. And part of the chosen one philosophy that I always was like, damn, that's more than what it seems, is you are the inevitable one that's going to bring the ultimate vision to the order. And that's a vision of everyone having the best will and the best faith in the Force. No dark side exists. It's simply just all about the light and the good. And when they put all their eggs in this one basket, it was inevitable that the pressure of that is going to supersede anything. And what happened with Anakin was just tragic in that sense, because he was destined to do one thing, but he quite literally did the other. And it's really sad stuff, man. Great story, though. And that's why I love The Phantom Menace.
Nice. So I guess I will start going with my talking points on Attack of the Clones, which actually I think is my favorite prequel movie. So one of the things the Attack of the Clones does so well is, and it does this right off the bat, is we get to start to see the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
I think, we don't get really any of that episode 1 because Anakin's too young and Obi-Wan is kind of like a mean older brother and doesn't really want him around, but you get to see that like in that elevator scene where he's all nervous about Padme and they're joking about stuff that they've done, just hanging out, just they go to a bar together too. I mean, that's kind of cool. So the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan, building that, I think they did a really good job doing that in Attack the Clones. The other thing that I really like, and this is probably my favorite part about Attack of the Clones, is Attack of the Clones is like the calm before the storm. Well, I remember watching it when it first came out, without Clone Wars giving us any context. I was always like, dude, who's this Sifo Dyas guy? Who ordered the clones? Like Dooku's literally telling Obi-Wan about all these crazy things about what's going on, and like Obi-Wan's like, that's not true, and I'm just like, and we all know at this point, we're all like, okay, Palpatine's probably the Emperor. I mean, we all can put two and two together, but we're like, dude, how does this all work? Like, it's like a scatter plot with no data. It's like, makes no sense. Now obviously when we get Clone Wars, we get all these crazy backstories. Attack of the Clones is like this crazy, like, it almost feels like a crime/mystery thriller in my opinion, because like it just like there's so much mystery. Like when Yoda says the Clone Wars has begun, the Shroud of the Dark Side has fallen. Like, it is, the Shroud of the Dark Side has covered everyone. Like, everyone's blind to it. Like, nobody knows Palpatine is everywhere. You know, he is in every shadow. He is manipulating literally everybody and everything. And, like, it's
awesome.
really cool to see that in the Clone Wars, because you're just like, yeah. And then on top of that, the other thing I like in the Clone Wars is, you know, when the prequels started, there's a lot of, like, they had to reiterate a lot of things. So, like, the battle droids were the new stormtroopers, and obviously getting B2s, and, you know, it was really cool in Clone Wars. But, like, I meant Clone Wars, Attack of the Clones. But the cool thing about Attack of the Clones is you get to see a lot of, like, original trilogy characters start to pop up. So we get to see Boba Fett, and we learn a little bit about him, and we get to see his dad, and Slave One comes back, and I mean, we get bounty hunters involved, just like Empire Strikes Back. So, I mean, there's a lot of cool elements that I really enjoy out of Empire Strikes Back. And Attack of the Clones, it doesn't feel like the good guys win either. Like, Obi-Wan's all cut up, Anakin loses an arm and his pride, and he gets married. I count that as a loss as well. But, I mean, it feels like there's a lot of similarities and parallelisms to Empire Strikes Back, which is really, really like what I don't know, I really like Attack of the Clones. Also, as a side note, Attack of the Clones is probably my favorite, most convoluted assassination attempt ever, because it is Palpatine telling Dooku to kill Padme, and then Dooku tells Jango to kill Padme, and then Jango tells Zam to kill Padme, then Zam tells a droid to kill Padme, to when that droid tells some bugs to kill Padme, and then it doesn't work out.
Of course not.
Everyone fucking just... Oh, dude, that meme is so great.
But it's just like a...
But, I mean, for how goofy that is, how genius of it is... How genius is it for Palpatine? How genius is it?
The 10 hitman assassination.
You know what I'm saying? Like, bro is... I don't know what happened. Like,
that is called a pyramid scheme right there.
Yeah, 100%.
Assassination? Dude, that's like, how do you kill someone without getting caught? You go kill
like,
him.
You know, it's kind of funny. It's like that game Telephone. Like, what if they killed the wrong person? They're like, wait, I thought you told me to kill this. No, I told you to kill that person. Yeah, but he told me to kill that person, and it just got all...
The thing about it too is you have to think they're human beings, they're sentient beings, they need possessions, they need shelter. Like, they're probably doing all this shit for money as well. Like, even Dooku with Palpatine, like, Palpatine's probably sliding Dooku 600,000 credits for every successful thing that he does, and he's accruing all that wealth and power.
He was a rich small effort. He really was.
And just I think that's how he gets his money.
He got his money, I think, just naturally, like just from birth. Like, he was part of like a royal family, hence the name Count. You know what I mean? Because like his Sith name was Darth Tyrannus, and then he reverted to...
Well, I think Tyrannus is more like this, more of an alias.
I mean, dude, I much prefer the name Darth Tyrannus to Count Dooku.
Yeah, because Count Dooku was his like public profile.
Yeah, and even Sidious called him Dooku.
Yeah.
Like, the Separatists all called him Dooku. I think he called him like Darth Tyrannus was him going incognito.
I've literally only heard the name Darth Tyrannus like twice, I think.
A couple times, yeah.
Because he's only Darth Tyrannus around people who then know that Palpatine...
Don't know who he's Dooku.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't know that he's a fucking Sith apprentice. It's crazy. It goes deep. Like, Wat Tambor only knows Count Dooku is Count Dooku.
Yep.
Also, shout out to Wat Tambor, my boy.
R9.
Which, to be fair, that crew of the leaders, they all probably know that he's Tyrannus, because Jango knows he's Tyrannus.
No, it's Dooku. They know Dooku. No, so the only reason Jango knows him as Tyrannus is because... So here's the crazy part, because I don't know if Jango knows this, but I don't think Jango knows Dooku and Tyrannus. I think he only knows Tyrannus
Yeah, I
as
think it's
Tyrannus
just
because
Palpatine.
he introduced it. Dooku introduced himself to Jango as Darth Tyrannus, but like I've never heard Jango refer to him as Dooku ever. I think he just thinks, hey, that's Darth Tyrannus. But like, you know what I mean? Like it's almost like if you hang out with a group of friends and like they told you you were different, like you had a different name, like you wouldn't like be checking names or anything. Like it's not like people were wearing name tags around the Separatist Council.
That's true.
So I think Dooku only let certain people know I'm Darth Tyrannus, but he at the same time he didn't let those same people know he was Count Dooku.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't even tell Obi-Wan that. He didn't even tell Obi-Wan he was Darth Tyrannus. But then they found out later in Clone Wars, and it's like, oh, you're that guy? Because I think the name Darth Tyrannus was like a red herring. It was just like a paper trail of breadcrumbs, but they could never link a name or a face. Mm-hmm. I mean, a name. They couldn't link a face or like a profile to the name. But it's like, it's like, you know, it's just kind of like your informant, I guess.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Dooku's sick. I was thinking earlier, you could do seasons of a Dooku show. Young Dooku, Jedi Dooku, and then Dooku behind this. Yeah.
Like,
for anything.
You really, honestly, just like you make a character and you can either make the current, the past, and the present, or the future. Sorry. Like,
yeah.
It's just the way that it is, you know. Like, and Dooku is one of those characters that I definitely want to see more of his Jedi aspect of. And I mean, even the same with the recent character, Baneless Skull. He was announced as a general, and if that's the case, that means he was a general probably the same time as Skywalker was. I like, what in the fudge?
You know, I just realized that I just put two together. If we get General Baneless Skull, that means we're gonna get a new clone commander too.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of cool.
I mean, we're
kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna be on that, I'll speak 30 seconds on it. Like, we're lacking on clones. You know what I mean? Like, Bad Batch has its whole faction. You know, aside from Crosshair, you got the 501st. What else would you really add from the 501st? And then you have the 212th Legion. Like, there's so many clones literally that could be added. Like Delta Squad. Like I didn't even finish Delta Squad, the Republic Commando game, and I want them. You know, one day. Who knows?
Gotta make that game more affordable.
More affordable. No way, dude. If you ain't spending, you ain't winning. That's the motto.
You have to spend life points to take life points, Yugi boy.
Yugi boy. Oh, I summon Exodia. Just ban that motherfucker right away.
So, episode 3,
yeah,
MJ.
I love the... To wrap up episode 2.
Okay.
I love the saturation that we get of episode 1's lore. Because you go even deeper, even brighter. But yeah, episode 3.
So my plot points are not going to be on the IQ level of, you know, you guys in the whole
Don't need to be, bro.
Like,
we're just chilling.
So with the 3 plot points, I want to say, I mean, it's perfect in my brain. It may differ, but anyways. So I'm gonna start off with the first being Anakin, but all 3 are Anakin. So these 3 are the 3 huge plot points for Anakin involved with Revenge of the Sith, because the whole story is just revolved around the Skywalker family. You know what I mean? So the first one, I want to start it off with the very beginning, the introduction. You know, he kills an unarmed Sith Lord. It's not the Jedi way. Palpatine manipulates him. Kenobi's unconscious, cannot tell him to not do it, and he does it. If Kenobi was alive, would he have done it? Or, I mean, he was alive. You know what I mean? If he was awake, would he have done it? Second is the scene where Mace goes to confront Palpatine in the and you know, with the whole, he's been announced as the true Sith Lord. He's crying at the Coruscant Temple. You know what I mean? That's just one of his breaking points. And then the third, I've been debating this in my head. I think it has to be either when he's delimbed on the lava floor or standing in front of the Death Star and with Palpatine in production. All 3 points revolve around Anakin and the Skywalker saga because, like, in my head and me personally, Anakin Skywalker has the most tragic story out there in any character in fiction. Or what is it? What's real and what's not real? Fiction's not real, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
You're good, man.
Jeez.
No, fantastic point. And it is super sad, man. I'll let Van Seal start, though.
Start what?
You were about to say
Start what?
something. You were about to say something.
No, how was it? I was biting my tongue.
Well,
Being disciplined.
It's Anakin just in general, I guess. Just the first point was Anakin killing Dooku unarmed in front of Palpatine with Kenobi unconscious. Do you think he would have done it if Kenobi was conscious and
No.
not knocked the F out?
No.
I heard a yes and a
Yes.
no. Van Seal says yes. He says he still would have done it, dude. I want to wish I could see it.
No,
But,
because I
okay,
think
so-
that'd be one of those moments that Obi-Wan gets super fucking serious with him.
A fun fact, I'm
No.
gonna add this now while I can. The Revenge of the Sith movie was intended to be 4 hours long, with the Anakin Obi-Wan versus Dooku scene being 1 hour alone.
The hell?
Yes,
Because
really
it was a
is
big
fun
chase.
fact.
It was supposed to be more of a big chase throughout the ship.
Were they
Leading
playing
up
Duel
to the
Monsters over
bridge.
there? My God.
They were doing
Dooku
something.
was going to meet them in the hangar, and they were literally going to duel from the hangar all the way up to the bridge.
That sounds excessive and
Dude.
funny. Like I feel like we could just see a bunch of battle droids just kind of like watching them like go like
No, I don't know if it's like that. Like,
all the way down.
yeah.
But no, to stay back on track. Like the point about I think he would have killed. I think he still would have killed
done
Dooku. I think he would have because you know what? You know what's funny is Mace Windu, you know, in front of Anakin, said, you know, it's almost like the reverse roles. It's almost like the role reversal there. When Mace is about to kill Sidious, and Anakin's saying, "Don't do it," and Mace is like, "He's too dangerous to be kept alive." I feel like Anakin would have said the same thing to Obi-Wan, like, "He's too dangerous to be left alive. We will end things right now," because Anakin's not the one that like.
I agree.
And then as he kills him, Obi-Wan would have just been like, Anakin, like,
So
come
I want to add
on.
because of the Clone Wars, like with the additive of Clone Wars, it
Yeah.
makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, how long has been Anakin fighting Dooku throughout the Clone Wars? A hot minute. They had like
Yeah, and
8
Dooku
fights
pushes his
per-
buttons. Like Dooku does. There's a whole story arc where
Yeah.
they kidnap the Chancellor and they what's it called? They project like fake bodies on themselves to impersonate people and yada. It's a whole convoluted thing just so Dooku can fight Anakin and like talk shit. And it pisses him off.
So
It pissed him off. Like the whole point was just to talk shit and like push your buttons. And I'm like, dude, that's got to get annoying after a while. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
there was a
Yeah, I mean,
deleted
from
scene of that.
Attack of the Clones to Revenge of the Sith. You know, it finalized.
No.
There was a deleted scene for the Dooku murder, and Anakin was like, "I shouldn't." And he was, and then Palpatine was, "Do it," and he kills him, and he was like, "I shouldn't have done that. He was unarmed," and he literally was unarmed, so they had to cut it, or else it would have been more of a comedy
Well,
thing.
no, that was in the original. He said that word for word. Hayden said that word for word.
I think there was a bit about it, like the way that he said it, that they
So
went
in
with a
my-
different one.
Yeah, in my head, like there's a lot of like behind the scenes right now that's floating around where there's a lot of duels, but George Lucas was like, no, I need old head Ian McDermott to do this fight scene himself
Mm-hmm.
because to just make it more like realistic, you know.
It's crazy too, because when they filmed the fight scene between the Mace Windu and Sidious, I didn't know this, but like Samuel Jackson's like 2 years older than Ian McDermott.
No shot. Really?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That's very crazy. Ian looks like an old head, and
I know.
Mace looks like a midlife crisis.
Yeah, Mace was actually older than Ian McDermott. It's funny.
Wild.
That's nuts.
Damn.
Well, to be fair, the dark side ages the fuck out of you.
He is not wrong.
That's true.
It ages the fuck out of you. Like, someone should have noticed this 75-year-old looking 53-year-old. Like, what's going on here?
Oh, I lied. I'm sorry. I got it wrong. No. Samuel Jackson's younger by 4 or 5 years. Yeah, he's younger. I don't know where I got that from.
That's still only 4 or 5 years.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You would not think that range looking at those two side by side, for sure.
No, not at all.
So, my second bullet point was this is like the breaking point for Anakin. It's either A or B. You choose, you pick. I mean, me personally, I think it's B, the latter. So A is him crying at the Coruscant temple, after Mace told him to, chill and just wait like a puppy dog. Or B, he's crying after murdering the whole separatist leaders. I think it's B because he's crying on Mustafar because of what he dreamed of as a child. He wanted to become a Jedi, and being what he is at that point, he's veered so far away from that point. He's literally ready to kill at the blink of an eye to save Padme. That's not what a Jedi does. A Jedi will sacrifice their own life if need be in the blink of an eye. So, I mean, I choose B. He's crying on Mustafar. That's his breaking point, and when he fully turned to Darth Vader. Because you even see his Sith Lord eyes pop out. Like, why didn't we see that during Obi-Wan? Why did we only get that blank second of yellow eyes? Why? You know what I mean? Like, I've never actually looked on Google or anybody's, like, content creator channel. Like, why did Anakin have a brief moment of yellow eyes? Full Sith, like he's full on enraged type shit.
It would have been cool to see him have that in the Clone Wars. While he's still Anakin.
In the Mortis arc, doesn't he get that?
He does get the yellow eyes in the Mortis arc, yes.
For like a brief moment, he's like,
Ahsoka,
where are the keys?
Yeah, longer than Ribbon. For sure. What I remember is like he's talking to Obi-Wan and like he pushes like the speeder into the lava and he's like, you have no idea what the future is. Like,
I love it when people do that, when they're just like, I'm sorry, and you're like, for what? And he just pushes your motorcycle into lava. It's just like
I'm sorry.
What the fuck? People apologize out of nowhere and just like, just don't do whatever you're about to do.
They apologize before the action.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Huh? Oh man, you can never trust "I'm sorry" in the Star Wars universe nowadays. I'm sorry. Oh man. I mean,
Revenge of the Sith though is a beautiful movie.
I mean, like you said, dude, you can hardly watch it. It's emotional. I wouldn't say I cried to it, but I do get to that level of like I almost want to.
So I have a pretty interesting. This isn't like really anything to debate on or anything, but this is just a memory that I've just unlocked in the last 5 seconds. I was at the midnight premiere for Revenge of the Sith, and I remember in the theaters when Anakin and Obi-Wan, not like when they start fighting each other, but like the last part where they're on the bridge that fell and they're fighting each other, like the music's kicking in. I got really sad and depressed for about a good 20 seconds because in my mind I knew this is the last Star Wars fight I am ever gonna see because this is it. This is episode 3. This is supposed to be this is supposed to be the last one. Man. It's done. When I saw that, I was like, as a kid, I was like, this is the last one. And I got super sad. I was like, man, because this fight's so good and I don't want it to end, but I'm like, and in my mind, I was like, this is it. This is the final part. There's nothing after this. And thank God I was wrong. But
talking about the moment where Anakin and Obi-Wan are this, it's silhouetted with the lava.
No. It was like when because I knew the fight was still going to go on because it cuts from there it goes back to Coruscant. But it's after Yoda says like he failed, and it cuts back to Mustafar, and they're fighting on the little bridge that fell, and it's before they start swinging, before the music kicks in, like the final music. So I was like, I knew once that music hit, I was like, this is it, this is the end. Like, we are at the end of the road.
Yeah, that choreography when Battle of the Heroes did start. The climactic parts of Battle of the Heroes, like when I was just explaining, when they, locked whatever, I don't know what to call it, when they locked hands and the lava was spurting in the background, that was my most deep, because the music elevates the vibes / emotions for sure. Music really goes tandem, it goes well with what's going on cinematically for sure in my brain. So, like, seeing that, like, the lava rise at its peak potential, it's the battle of the heroes, it's Anakin and Obi-Wan, it's like, Jesus, Cheez-Its, however you want to say it, like, it hurts, Like, Tebow says he cries when he sees it. I'm practically on that level. Like, I could shed one tear. Like, this, it hurts, for sure. He raised that little boy. It hurts.
Yeah, it's the worst. It's the worst. Seeing someone disappoint their teacher as well, their father figure, that's never fun to see.
I mean, with that being said, the third bullet point goes to either, him being limbed on the lava floor, saying "I hate you" to the person that raised him, or him being fully mechanical membered. I don't know what the word is. He mechanically assembled, sitting with his new master, just watching the pre-production Death Star being built. Like, those are all pivotal moments, I think, in Revenge of the Sith for me.
Yeah, I mean, coming full circle and
exactly
seeing what he has to go through to go inside the Vader suit, and then just like, yeah, it's like, and that's the thing, it's like, it's crazy because, like I said, like, that is literally the end of that story. Like, that is the end of that story, and then at the same time the beginning to something else. And I think that's one of the things that, like, George Lucas really did really well, was talking about how like he doesn't like do this. This is very subtle that he does this a lot, and it happens a lot in Clone Wars, but in a lot of Japanese films, especially like Rashomon, which, like, Rashomon, if you guys have ever watched it, like, George gets so much inspiration from old Japanese films, and like a lot of the times they'll talk about how, like, life and death are the same, like they're the exact same thing, and like anytime something dies, like, new life is born. And that's why, like, sometimes in some cultures, like, death is celebrated, because they know when something does die, something new starts. And that's like, it's just the same process over and over and over. So, like, seeing Vader go into the suit is the death of Anakin and the birth of Darth Vader, but it's also at the same time, it's like, we get to see Luke, and kind of like where everything's going from there. So
it's like light. It's just life.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah, God damn it.
So I have been thinking about a nice, like, fan fiction, like a nice what if, a nice theory, basing it around Revenge of the Sith. And what I came up with is, let's say Anakin does not kill Dooku. He shouldn't do it. Maybe Obi-Wan's conscious and tells him not to, because I think Obi-Wan would. And so Anakin doesn't do it. So Dooku stays alive, but obviously he goes to jail. Palpatine still needs... Maybe he doesn't go to jail. Maybe Palpatine finds a way to kill him. Maybe he passes out or dies
he pays his bail. He pays his bail.
That, and or maybe he dies of blood loss, even though it's cauterized. Like, you do it a little different. But for one reason or another, he dies. He's out of the picture. Whatever. But he needs a new apprentice. Anakin isn't buying it anymore. Like, because I think killing Dooku was a huge nail in the coffin in terms of guilt for Anakin. Palpatine needs a new apprentice. all the shit hits the fan still, but rather than Anakin joining Palpatine because he's more committed to the light, what if at that point where Windu's holding the lightsaber to his throat, what if Windu is like, let me join you?
Okay, bud.
And then
Wait, Windu joined the dark side?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I said. No.
yeah, what if?
No. All right.
Yeah,
So
he's always got it in him.
before
Dude,
I
maybe
forget
he-
it,
Mace Windu is a Boy Scout.
so
Yeah, but he's
what I
always
think
got a
would
little
happen-
dark side in him. What if it
He
just,
does, but no.
what if it always?
He wouldn't be like, oh, okay. No, I don't know. So say Kenobi was conscious, right? And he did convince Anakin to not kill him. Here's the thing, okay? Dooku's not dead. He has his hands. He goes to jail. That's the Jedi way, because that's the Jedi way. They're more political and whatever and yada yada yada. Here's the thing. We're talking about Palpatine here. A villain that is not 2 steps ahead of your average person like Gus Fring. He is 5 steps ahead. Like Thrawn is the better villain 100% because he is 10 steps ahead, but Palpatine is below Thrawn. He is 5 steps ahead of your average human being or force sensitive person, right? I believe, like, let's say I believe he did have a plan at that point. I 100% believe, and he had a plan set in motion to still make Anakin Darth effin Vader. Like this was his master plan, from the clones to Annie.
I agree wholeheartedly. I'm just saying, and my rebuke would be for the Mace Windu thing. Mace is he's peaked. He can't go any higher because above him is Yoda, and this guy's immortal. This guy's not dying anytime soon, and he's not going to die in Mace Windu's point
So
of view.
to add to your
He's immortal.
to add to your both your points, I think if Mace did turn, Anakin would be so happy. He'd be like, "Oh, thank God, I get to kill you now.
Yeah.
Thank God."
You get to see that fight.
And before he
Same with
kills
Ahsoka.
before he kills him, he's gonna be like, "Call me master. Call me master."
I think Ahsoka would. I think Ahsoka. Call me citizen. Call me citizen.
And then Kenobi, dude. You know what? Knowing Kenobi and how troll he is, dude, I bet you he was conscious. I bet you he was just like hiding under his arm, and he was just like, he's like, "Anakin, kill him, please kill him." And then he just like played dead the whole time. Like he was just like, "Come on, Anakin, come on, just hurry up and do it. Hurry up, kill him." That way he doesn't get in trouble, because that's how Obi-Wan thinks. He's always, trying to get out of things.
Yeah.
Guy.
And maybe that day when he had a whole ass fucking
Dude, he got ragdolled. You've
Yeah.
seen it, bro.
yeah, when he had a whole ass floor plop down on him and land on his hip, he's like, these fucking Clone Wars need to fucking end. This is fucking bullshit. I'm fucking done, man.
Yeah, he's
Clocking out, going home, I'm done.
Anakin, kill him. Just do it. Do it. He was probably saying "do it" too under his breath. He was like, "Do it, do it, do it,
bro.
Do
He
it.
was literally like, "Oh, you even gave me a blanket? Oh, that's lovely."
Kill them both. I don't fucking care. Get it over with.
Yeah."
I'm over it.
He wakes up. Oh, what happened? Oh
Yeah.
no, Dooku's dead. Anakin, how dare you?
How dare you?
Time out. You're on restriction.
I think this movie is very fucking good.
Yep.
And that takes us to our dispatches. Shout out to everyone that sent them in.
Wishing time.
We've got the first question from Alex in Seattle. And his question is, which books or comics do you suggest as must read or must listen for fans interested in going deeper into Star Wars?
Actor, mother loving Afra, and then Vader.
Yeah, those are good ones to start with. I would say. I agree.
To dive
Personal.
deeper into Star Wars, probably.
I think if you're gonna dive deeper, I think dive deeper into something you're familiar with. So
Yeah.
prequels,
Whatever you
trilogy.
fuck with. Make it a good
Yeah.
experience. Don't just
Yeah.
be like, oh, I need to learn more about something here. Learn more lore about your own character, you know.
Learn about Dirge.
Yeah. Learn about the symbiote bounty hunter.
This one is from John in Denver. I've always been curious about the behind the scenes work on episode 1. Can you shed any light on the production challenges and special effects used in the pod racing scene?
I got nothing for this one.
Yeah, so I actually worked there on the set of episode 1. I'm just kidding. There's a lot of stuff you can YouTube. There's a lot of stuff they did.
There's whole behind the scenes movies.
They did a lot of miniatures, which I always appreciate when films do miniatures. Because if you get miniatures and you do them right, you can't tell they're miniatures. They look so good. They look so awesome. Yeah, the pod racing part, I feel like that they probably spent a lot of time on getting that right. Because I do remember like the entire stadium was like a mock. It was a miniature stadium, and I was like, it looked really cool. I mean, until you see a life-size person standing next to it, and it's like, but it goes to like their hip or their waist. It's like it's a pretty big set for like little tiny thing.
The original trilogy did a lot of stuff with paintings, literally.
Yeah,
paintings,
yeah, a lot of matte paintings.
you know? And like look at that. You know what I mean? Like a movie.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And, like it like feels like a whole ass scene in the form of a painting. Like it's phenomenal, you know.
Mm-hmm. This is I could go on for days. I could have a whole podcast episode about behind the scenes stuff. This one's from Sarah, and she asks, can you discuss the actors' chemistry in the prequels and the challenges they faced in portraying the story? The romance between Anakin and Padme in episode 2 has always fascinated me.
What are these questions, bro? Send these to George. My God.
GPT says
You weren't there.
that's some Jet GPT shit right there.
The romance between okay, so the chemistry with the characters, so they gotta fall in love on screen but not off screen.
Bro,
That's the struggle.
And he fucking shoved a fucking pear in her mouth with the floors.
Yeah. Wouldn't know that far. Wouldn't know that.
And then
far.
she goes and dressed all scandalous, and she's like, "What are you talking about? This is what I always read when I read books. This is what I always wear when I read books.
This is how I fucking dress. Like, fuck off.
This is what I always wear." That's logic.
You think I ride public transportation?
Yeah, I know, right? Hey, Padme, I'd like to show you something. This is called a bus.
She was probably like, what the fuck are we taking going to Naboo? Are you kidding me? I am the queen of Naboo. This is bullshit. Public transportation. Are you mad?
It's great. It goes from point A to point B. Ignore the smell.
That shit was probably stinky. Some motherfucker sitting across from them just munching on some fucking chips. Just looking Anakin up and down like wanting to fight him. Like, oh man, people on Coruscant are crazy.
Oh, and then Obi-Wan and Captain Tanaka, where he's like, yeah, I hope he doesn't do anything, and he's just like, huh, I'd be more worried about her.
Yeah.
He, like elbows Obi-Wan. Like,
And you think of it, Coruscant literally is New York, and the people in New York are fucking crazy. So just imagine a crazy guy on the bus.
You should have seen it, bro. I don't want to to this topic of New York, but like, so I'm born and raised in New York, and she's in Pennsylvania, and we visited
Long Island iced tea.
Anyways,
let's go.
We took a vacation in Manhattan. We like booked a room on the 48th floor in Manhattan for a weekend, and she literally texts her brother at like 3 a.m. Is it safe to go out now? And I'm like, wait, bro. Oh my god. We literally walked at 4 a.m. to go get a pizza, and no, it was not safe to go out, bro. Just the method, it's psychopathic. in the morning time in the big cities for sure. I think 100%.
Has to be. Has to be. This next one is, could you explore some of the real world historical references that George incorporates into Star Wars? And you might know a little bit about this from like the political scheme, Van Seal.
Well, I'm sorry. Which are you on 4 or 5?
4.
Okay. Draws inspiration from historical and mythological. Yeah. So he draws upon a lot of like stuff we've had in the past and stuff that we've that we have now. It's kind of crazy, but as they say, history does repeat itself. But like I said, he draws from like I said, the film Rashomon came out like I think 1950 or 1949. I can't remember, but very, very famous, world-renowned. It's a very famous, world-renowned Japanese mystery crime film. He draws a lot from that. French New Wave, he also drew a lot from that. That's another form of cinema. But in terms of the political aspect, he does definitely likes to use like I don't want to say there's like stereotypes of Star Wars, because like he says like there's not really any like Star Wars, aliens everywhere. Like there's no like, I mean, you can have your own opinion, but he said that racism doesn't really exist in Star Wars because there's like a million different races. But as you can see, like certain races have kind of different accents in Star Wars, and they kind of have like he kind of almost like projects a lot of like certain countries onto certain alien races in some of the Star Wars prequels, especially in the prequels. But I think that like he does this a really good job at just portraying the world, because as they say, like art can only reflect life can never reflect art. And I think he does a really good job at just kind of like taking like real world scenarios and kind of just dressing it up with some lasers and laser swords and putting it in space, and he called Star Wars. But a lot of it is pretty relatable to stuff that we've experienced in our own history.
Yeah, and I like just how far away from real life they keep it, though.
At the same time, right? Yeah, it's crazy.
They keep it so in universe. They're
Yeah,
really good at that. Next question we kind of already talked about. It's the pivotal moments in Anakin's transformation. Kind of talked about that already. That was from anonymous Instagram user. Don't forget, you guys can send us messages at Star Wars TAP on Twitter and Instagram. This one's from Darth Darren on Twitter. Darth Darren. Episodes 1 to 3 introduced us to a wide array of Jedi, such as Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, and Qui-Gon. How do their individual styles and philosophies impact the characters that they go on to train, like Anakin and Luke?
So I think the first thing is we get to see different colors of lightsabers, and in the original trilogy we see blue, we see red, and we see green, but like they're just colors. And then in the prequel trilogy we learn that there's a significance, and there's almost like an advanced role. It's almost like I'm going to be a Jedi, but then now you got to pick your path. Like there's almost like a skill tree involved with being a Jedi, where like you're going to learn different forms, different styles. You could be more reliant on the Force. You can be more reliant on your lightsaber. So I think it's really cool to see the different avenues, and kind of how they kind of just like trickle down into eventually Anakin, and then eventually Luke. And then it kind of shows that like Luke kind of gets to learn like the best of not both, but like all the different like versions of different Jedi. And then he kind of, takes on his own style at some point.
And that's why I like the whole master and apprentice dynamic, because it just gives it that platform to do so. Because there's not a whole lot of real life examples where there isn't some sort of master and apprentice dynamic going on. This is just a easy way to, a black and white way to see it, and that's why it's, in my opinion, so beautiful. What about you, MJ? Any opinion on that, or just?
I mean, you gotta nail it down to the nitty gritty with Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
each character individually has like a lightsaber ignition sound, and it's just like. But I mean, that point goes and leads to another point, which I'm about to say is everything about Star Wars. It's crazy. The moment you step foot into the Star Wars franchise, it's like you're a solidified concrete boulder. Let's look at Cara Dune, for example. You know, she's been in for X amount of time and she got the boot. But I only know Gina as Cara Dune. Or, I mean, I still know Cara Dune as Cara Dune. You know what I mean? But, like, all the lightsaber ignitions, like Luke's, it's just straight up just, it's Luke's and, yeah. Yeah.
I like that. There's nice similarities with that. And it does kind of draw the tree of which Jedi came from which, you know? Solid question. Shout out Darth Darren on Twitter. Next one's from Lamorak on Discord. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. Lamb Zero Rack. For what reason did the clones go along with Order 66? We've got a few different confirmed reasons and alluded to reasons, but which is the best? Were they brainwashed? Were they just genetically designed to follow orders? Were they lied to and manipulated into thinking the Jedi were traitors, etc.?
So the Clone Wars kind of goes into that, and so does the Bad Batch show. You know, they have these inhibitor chips implanted at birth, and they're basically like, and Tico, you can back me up on this because I don't remember where I heard this from or if it's true, but like there was multiple commands that these inhibitor chips could do, but the one Palpatine executed was Order 66.
In deep lore there is.
Yeah, so they were like they were pretty much just like sleeper cells, sleeper agents, and you know, once the time was right, Palpatine flipped the switch, and then they were just like, all right, like, you Jedi are now enemies, let's shoot them. Like, they didn't even think twice about it. You know, some of them struggled, some of them, there were some incidences where some of them said they tried to resist, or they tried to like force themselves, you know, those that had the strong enough willpower, but like 99% of them, like, it was just like a light switch.
Mm-hmm.
And they did realize they did come
like a light switch.
Yeah, and then eventually, like after, you know, months after Order 66 actually did happen, they did come. They didn't. It's not that they came to the senses. It's just they started to finally process what they did, and a lot of them were, you know, they were still following orders, but it's like they had to, like, I think the guilt that they had to live with started to like kind of snap them out of it, because that's something that a lot of them often think about, because, you know, a lot of these clones end up befriending a lot of the Jedi, and, you know, they were their friends / leader for months, weeks, if not years, you know, in battle. So, you know, they definitely developed a strong bond. But, you know, for them to process murdering their leader, you know, that probably, I'm assuming, doesn't go well.
That's a really, really good way to put it. It's another one of those sad things too, because you get so emotionally tied to each and every clone that you meet in Clone Wars, and it's sad to think that it happened with them. Like, they turned as well, dropped their identity, and yeah, that's why it's cool to know that certain ones stayed, like Rex stayed. It was cool. I like that. Solid question though. Last one's from Alan on Instagram. What are they going to do with Balin? He's your MVP of the Ahsoka show, and there's really only 3 outcomes: recast, redesign, or write-off.
I'm all for the recast. I think recast them. Unfortunately, it is an unfortunate thing that happened, but I think Disney just needs to learn how to recast people. I think they really do, because if you don't recast people, you are limiting yourself to what you can do. Like, I don't know why we haven't recasted Han, Luke, and Leia. I mean, I know they recasted Han. We've kind of recasted Luke, but at the same time, we're still dabbling with deepfakes, which I'm just like, just recast them at this point. Like, honestly, like, if you can recast them, we can get more movies about them. Yeah. And and we're at this point in the Star Wars, like, you know, lifetime where I think fans can't be picky and pick and choose who gets to play who anymore, because we're at this point where it just sucks and we just need good content. So I remember when Solo's coming out, people were like, he's not my Harrison Ford, he's not my Han Solo. I'm like, he did great. He did great. Like first of all, how do you impersonate one of the greatest actors of all time, Harrison Ford? Like that's like a mountain of a task to do. But I mean, I would recast them, honestly. I just recast them. I love Baylan Skull so much too. You know, it's unfortunate what happened, but I think you recast him because I really want to see more of him. And the other opportunity you could do is, if you wanted to keep Ray Stevenson's legacy alive, is if, let's say, we get Tales of the Jedi season 2. You know, you can design the animated character to look like Ray Stevenson and just get a voice actor. You know, that'll give you that general Baylan Skull backstory that, you know, we're all curious about. But in terms of like Ahsoka season 2 or wherever he shows up again, he could show up in Mando season 4. I don't know, but yeah, I think you just have to recast him at that point. I don't think you do the deep fake though. I just don't. I think you got to stay away from it.
I'm with you. I think you recast. You could always redesign and throw him under not a prosthetic, but like a mask, some sort of breathing apparatus. You can find a way. But he's a cool character that the fans they've grown to like and they've resonated with, and
yeah,
you have to then expand upon that, because that's the equation nowadays. You know, we loved Ahsoka. We got a lot more Ahsoka. And that's the way that it's going. So.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Recast her too. Good point.
Yeah. Let's get some live action Clone Wars going while we can. While the characters are able to look a bit younger. Let's work on that. But yeah, you got to keep Ray Stevenson's aura with a new actor taking the helm.
Yeah, because the character, at the end of the day, you have to remember, the actors are not the characters themselves, and vice versa. The characters are also not the actors. It's very hard to distinguish that when you get some characters and actors that are just born for the role, like Robert Downey Jr. for Iron Man, obviously. But I mean, I think Ray Stevenson started something with this character, and I think that is kind of his legacy in Star Wars. And I think like you got to keep that character going. Like he it's almost like the analogy of The Force Awakens. It's like, it was such a great setup, don't butcher it. And I think he did such a great job setting up this character. Like, you got to keep this character going. Don't write him off, don't kill him off. And I think that's very rare that we get a character in Star Wars these days where the whole fan base loves them. Yeah. Everybody's so diversive and controversial about everything these days. It's really rare that we get one character that everybody loves. It's unfortunate that it's just the one character where the actor passes away, but I think you got to keep the character going. I think you just got to.
You have to, out of respect to the actor in and of itself, with the multiplication that you are talking about a character that everyone loves, no one has any distaste towards, and there's mystique built around him. There's some magic there that you can capitalize on. You can go before, you can go after. You can keep the current story going. There's a lot you can do. And I just pray that they take advantage of it. For us and for them. Because that's good Star Wars. Baylan Skoll right now is good Star Wars. But I fear that we're not going to get anything to do with Baylan Skoll for time. Maybe Tales of the Jedi. If they want to do fan service.
Maybe Tales of the Jedi. But like, yeah, until we get another Star Wars show, which don't even know when that's gonna happen.
No.
It's gonna be a minute. So they do have time to recast and they do have time to plan things out. But at the same time, they can't let this success just sit up there and kind of like die in the window. You know what I mean? Like they gotta They gotta serve it while it's hot.
Yep. Well, folks, that is all we got for you this week, this edition, this episode of the Archives podcast for MJ, Van Seal, and myself. This is the Archives podcast. I am SoTeeko. Follow us everywhere. Give us a 5-star review and like if you enjoyed. Peace, love, and life. Deuces, manuses, and may the force be with ya.